Hello and welcome back to the Google Workspace Update podcast from Strawberry 7. My name is Adam.
And my name is Adam.
We're here to bring you the latest updates of everything happening around Google Workspace. This podcast is available from your regular podcast provider in audio format, and there is also a video version of this podcast available on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/strawberry7. Let's get to it.
On with the show. Right, so we've got a couple of updates for everybody this week. The very first one is to do with Google Cloud Search. So use the Cloud Search Query API to suggest filters to enhance Cloud Search results. So it's now easier to configure and use Cloud Search filters and facets with multiple enhancements to existing functionalities. With this launch, you can use the Cloud Search Query API to configure new additional capabilities, such as faceting support for integer field types such as priority levels for support tickets or the number of pages in a document. Out-of-the-box faceting support for document size, document creation, and custom date fields. We've got new default reserved operators for document size and created date fields. Simplified query API response with filters being directly provided in the response. So expanding filter options creates a more user-friendly search experience, making it easier and faster to narrow search results to the most relevant documents.
Oh, okay. So Google. So when it says Google Cloud Search, because I've heard Google use this term before of Google Cloud Search. I think this is referring to their sort of universal umbrella of search under Google Drive and Google Docs and things like that. I think I've got that right, haven't I, Adam, with what Cloud Search is?
I think so. I definitely don't know 100% the specifics of this one, but it's definitely to do with Google Cloud Search.
Yeah. I think that is probably what they're referring to here with the Cloud Search being that sort of search that you do on Google Drive, Google Docs, when you see that at the top. So it's interesting that they're talking about the Cloud Search Query API, because I wonder if they're talking about, when they say the Query API, they're just talking about the Cloud Search that you see, or whether there is actually a Cloud Search API that people can use to plug into their own kind of app or their own website or anything like that. I think from what they're saying here, it's interesting that they say about priority levels for support tickets and things like that. I think they're actually talking about something that you can plug into your own, like I say, your own app or your own sort of system. You can plug in their search API. Again, it's another one of those updates where we don't have much direct experience of it ourselves, but hopefully some of our listeners out there, where it is relevant to them, they will know that this is relevant for them, and hopefully those enhanced areas that they can search and those enhanced filters will be quite exciting for them.
Yes, absolutely. I'm sure it will be helpful for somebody, definitely. So to get started with this for the end users, there is no end user action required. You will automatically see the new filter options once your admin has configured them. The rollout for this feature is now available for everybody, which is great. However, it's only available to Google Cloud Search customers, so it's very specific to the Google Cloud Search customers.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so it's interesting there that it says you can see the new filter options once your admin has configured them, so that kind of does make me believe that this is something to do with the API, like using the power of Google's Cloud Search system, but in your own area, in your own application or your own program or site or whatever it is that you're using it in. Okay, great. Now I think you were saying at the start there, Adam, we've only actually got 2 updates this particular podcast, haven't we? So it's just one more for Google Meet. Is that right?
That's right. So, yeah, so next up is to do with Google Meet. So improved meeting quality when joining on virtual machines. So if you use a virtual machine such as Citrix or VMware, there's various different options available. So if you're using a virtual machine to join a Google Meet call, you'll notice an increase in video and audio quality. So Meet will now detect whether you're joining from a virtual machine and automatically adjust for best performance. This optimization will help cut down the demand on your virtual machine, such as the CPU, GPU, memory usage, helping to improve meeting quality and the overall experience.
Oh, okay, that's going to be very useful. Yeah, I know that some people do kind of end up joining meets through those virtual desktops and virtual interfaces. So that's very interesting that Google have changed that. They must be well, there must be a problem to begin with that they've noticed where there is an increased use of CPU, GPU memory on virtual machines. So they must have changed somehow how the processing is working around those virtual machines, with it, like it says, detecting them and sort of changing maybe how it's running the video or the demand that it's putting on the video because it's in a virtual machine. I mean, virtual machines work in quite an interesting way anyway, because they have, or they certainly used to, I might be a bit old school here, but they used to have their own hardware abstraction layer where the virtual machine would interface with the hardware in a different way to the way that, say, the native OS could. That's why it was quite weird that running Windows in a virtual machine was quicker than running Windows on a machine. It was quite strange, and it was all to do with how virtualization uses hardware abstraction layers, and I think that's still something that carries through to today, which is why virtualization became so popular in servers and those higher level sort of demanded environments where you do need that good hardware abstraction. So very interesting to see that they've optimized that, and I'm sure that will be useful for people who are in that situation using those different virtual machines. What's the sort of getting started there and the rest of the details there, Adam?
So for admins to get started, they'll need to ensure that Google Meet can detect that it's running inside a virtual machine by enabling the Enterprise Hardware Platform API policy in Chrome. For their end users, there's no action required because Google Meet will automatically optimize your experience when you're in the virtual machine environment.
That makes sense. Okay, no problem. And when can we expect to see that out? And there's, well, you can tell us the availability. I'm quite surprised about the availability actually, but yeah, tell us when it's available.
Rapid
first.
release and scheduled release for this started on November the 30th, and this is available to all Google Workspace customers as well as legacy G Suite Basic and Business customers. So everyone.
I'm quite surprised about that, actually. I would have thought that this would really be an enterprise level sort of update, that really they would only cater to the enterprise level partners, especially as it says that the admins need to enable the Enterprise Hardware Platform API in Chrome. But there we go, it's available to everybody. I'm quite surprised about that.
Yeah, it's definitely good that it is available to everybody, but yeah, I agree. You would only really expect business level, almost as a minimum, to even be using a virtual machine in the first place.
Yeah,
I agree. I just wonder if it would make any difference. Possibly not, actually. Say, if someone who is a business customer sets up the meeting within their virtual machine, but they're having a meeting with somebody on the other end that is not a business customer themselves, but I'm not sure if that would have made any difference. But either way, it's available to everybody, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Maybe the fact that Enterprise Hardware Platform API isn't available to everybody. I don't know whether it is or it isn't, but maybe that's only available to sort of enterprise customers. So they've kind of opened it up to everybody, but in order to have the Enterprise Hardware Platform API, you have to be sort of an enterprise customer, and maybe they've done that with what you have, I think, lightly touched on there, Adam, with the fact that even as a recipient of the meeting, if you're in a virtual machine, you kind of get this environment. So just a bit interesting there that they've opened that up to everybody. But that's good news. Like you say, having it open to more people is only a good thing. So Great, thank you for all of that, Adam. Well, that's it, everybody. That's everything you need to know about the latest things that are happening around Google Workspace. Remember that this podcast is available in audio format from your regular podcast provider, and also in video format on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/strawberry7. Thank you very much for joining us this week.
And we'll be back again next week with more updates.
Goodbye.
Bye.